She's so rotten, she wants migrants picking cotton. We present to you Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who made this shocking argument why America needs immigrants. Roll it, Alfred.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
When the wheels fall off.
You're not.
The spotlight can be a cruel mistress, especially when a political figure believes their carefully crafted persona is impenetrable. Imagine stepping onto the national stage, armed with what's thought to be unshakable sass and an unyielding attitude, only to have that entire brand meticulously dismantled piece by piece live on national television. This is the compelling story of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, whose theatrical approach to politics found its formidable match in the sharp, unyielding minds of conservative media personalities Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly. What unfolded was far less a traditional debate and much more an unforgettable public expose, revealing layers of a public image that dramatically buckled under the relentless pressure of facts and incisive logic.
It's just, that's what she does. She puts out this video of her acting in a certain way, and that's how she fundraises.
We actually did a bit of a deep dive on her after my old colleague from Fox News, Todd Starnes, posted something on X not long ago, Walter. He posted the following. Jasmine Crockett wants you to think she's from the hood, that she grew up on the streets. The exact opposite is true. She attended an exclusive day school where tuition is nearly $35,000 a year. She also attended Rhodes College, a private school where tuition is nearly $55,000 a year. She's cosplaying a gangsta. So we looked up her background. She was born in St. Louis. She's 43. Her dad was a Baptist pastor and a teacher. Her mother worked in a post office. She graduated from Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School, one of the most expensive private schools in the city. Indeed, the current tuition, $35,000 a year.
It all began with a statement designed to shock, yet it primarily managed to perplex. Congresswoman Crockett, while passionately advocating for the crucial role of immigrants in America, delivered a line that instantly sent shockwaves and raised eyebrows across the nation. "Ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now," she declared with a dismissive air, seemingly implying that native-born Americans were unwilling to perform certain manual labor, thereby necessitating a constant influx of new arrivals. This was her bold, albeit controversial argument for why America absolutely needs immigrants. But the underlying tone, the casual implication, and the sheer audacity of the statement hinted at a deeper, potentially more troubling narrative simmering beneath the surface of her public pronouncements. It was a foundational moment that set the stage, a seemingly small crack in her public image that would swiftly widen into a profound chasm, exposing the carefully constructed facade she consistently presented to the world. And what was revealed next would shock countless individuals who believed they had a complete understanding of her public story.
Jasmine Crockett's got another hot take. No blacks and whites on a wedding cake. The Democrats' new chosen one, Jasmine Crockett, is in the news again for an old clip where she attacked Florida Rep. Byron Donalds for marrying a white woman. Roll it, Bertha.
The fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you?
That's not very woke, is it?
Speaking of leftist hypocrisy and cluelessness, Jasmine Crockett is a rising star amongst the far-left progressives in this country. She's a representative from Houston, Texas, of all places, which makes no sense because she seems to be far too left for Houston, but apparently not, because they elected her. It must be like, Orange County in California being like the one outlier in an otherwise uniformly state, like all red with the one blue, all blue with the one red. Okay, so Jasmine Crockett got up at a Los Angeles dinner this past Saturday, and it was hosted by, this is perfect, the Human Rights Campaign.
However, the most jarring revelation about Congresswoman Crockett wasn't centered on her policy positions, but rather on the very core of her proclaimed identity. For an extended period, she meticulously cultivated an image suggesting a gritty, street-smart background, positioning herself as an authentic voice from the hood, ostensibly ready to fight vehemently for the marginalized. Yet, a thorough and detailed investigation into her past, initially spurred by astute observations from figures like Todd Starnes, painted a dramatically contrasting picture. Far from the challenging streets she purported to represent, Crockett, in stark reality, attended the prestigious Mary Institute in St. Louis Country Day School, an exclusive educational institution with tuition costs that soared to an astonishing $35,000 annually. Her academic journey continued at Rhodes College, a private university carrying an eye-watering price tag of an additional $55,000 per year. This narrative wasn't one of hardship or struggle, but rather one of considerable privilege and elite education. Her father was a respected Baptist pastor and a dedicated teacher, and her mother held a stable position at a post office, clearly indicative of a comfortable, professional, and firmly middle-class upbringing. The accusation leveled against her was unambiguous and direct. She was unequivocally cosplaying a gangster, meticulously performing a calculated role that bore almost no resemblance to her actual origins. This deliberate fabrication of a personal background, strategically designed to resonate with a specific demographic and accumulate significant political capital, raised profound and serious questions regarding authenticity and integrity within the realm of public service. The very notion of a politician manufacturing such a personal history for calculated gain is profoundly troubling, and it proved to be merely the beginning of a cascade of contradictions that would soon come to light under intense public scrutiny.
That was 3 years ago. The ones of her just sounding like a normal person talking. 3 years, it's not like that was 20 years, but then she moved to Mississippi for all that time. That was 3 years ago. She sounded like a totally normal person. It's only now she's got her accent and she's going to kick everybody's ass. It's such an affectation.
Is she making any point there?
Like this makes me wish my mom made different father choices.
Yet, the piercing questions surrounding her authenticity were not merely confined to her upbringing and educational background. An even more contentious and widely circulated clip resurfaced, vividly revealing a startling double standard that flew directly and provocatively in the face of modern progressive ideals she claimed to champion. In this genuinely shocking moment, Congresswoman Crockett launched an unprovoked and deeply personal attack on Florida Representative Byron Donalds. Her palpable outrage wasn't rooted in any policy disagreement or legislative action, but rather focused solely on his deeply personal life choice, his marriage to a white woman. Is this because you don't understand history, or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewash you? She publicly questioned, her tone laced with accusation. This wasn't merely a political critique, it was an accusation steeped in racial essentialism, powerfully implying that a black man marrying outside his race was somehow a profound betrayal, an attempt to fundamentally erase or dilute his inherent identity. For a prominent figure who consistently champions social justice, diversity, and equality, this statement was not only monumentally hypocritical, but also profoundly offensive, chillingly echoing the discriminatory and divisive sentiments from a bygone, less enlightened era. It offered a raw, unvarnished, and deeply unsettling glimpse into a mindset that seemed to fundamentally contradict the very values she so passionately claimed to uphold, unmistakably proving that her performative outrage wasn't merely limited to economic issues, but extended deeply into the intensely personal realm of identity and relationships. And as her public profile continued its rapid ascent, so too did the increasingly astute observations about her rapidly evolving and increasingly artificial public presentation.
So this is funny. Jasmine Crockett sits on the Judiciary Committee, and about a month ago, Walter, I testified.
Yes, we saw this.
Yeah, and the hearings, the full committee hearings, are quite long. You can be there for over 4 hours. So, and they let the most junior members ask questions last. So I had to sit for quite a long time. And then at the very end, Jasmine Crockett, who I had never heard before, suddenly started screaming at me and Michael Schellenberger. And when you're a witness in Congress, you have to pay attention to what everybody says, because you never know when you're going to be asked an actual question and allowed to, maybe even allowed to speak. But I could not understand what she was saying. She was moving from one thing to another, and she was doing all that code switching stuff with the y'alls and y'all eyeing on this and everything.
What truly captivated and struck observers was the dramatic and almost instantaneous shift in her public demeanor, particularly her distinctive voice and adopted accent, all occurring within a surprisingly short time frame. Just a mere 3 years prior, incontrovertible video evidence clearly showed Jasmine Crockett speaking with a standard articulate cadence, exhibiting a tone that, as one commentator aptly put it, sounded unmistakably like a normal person. During that period, she expressed genuine excitement about her forthcoming role in Congress. Her tone consistently measured, professional, and authentically enthusiastic. However, fast forward to her current public appearances, and a stark, almost unbelievable transformation becomes glaringly evident. A deliberate and highly pronounced adoption of a distinct hood accent, coupled with a significantly more aggressive, confrontational tone, and a noticeable readiness to engage in verbal sparring that appears meticulously calculated for maximum viral consumption. This palpable shift wasn't an organic evolution of speech, but a clearly discernible affectation, a strategic and conscious decision to cultivate a very specific brand of aesthetic outrage. Her entire political identity became inextricably linked to this carefully curated performance. Loud, confrontational, and meticulously designed to generate intense buzz and controversy rather than fostering thoughtful, substantive discourse. It's the congressional equivalent of adding a generous sprinkle of glitter to a serious legal lawsuit. While it undeniably draws immediate attention and creates a spectacle, it fundamentally fails to alter the underlying substance, or indeed, the profound lack thereof. This conscious manufacturing of a public persona, so dramatically and swiftly divergent from her recent past, raised significant and enduring questions about her true authenticity, and whether her political actions were genuinely driven by deep personal conviction, or simply by an insatiable desire for viral fame, heightened visibility, and expanded fundraising opportunities.
This woman, I've had about enough of her. She wants to be like a member of the squad. She thinks of herself like an AOC. She talks like, you know, she's from the hood. Meanwhile, she grew up in a nice family. She didn't talk like this 3 years ago. 3 years ago, she sounded like you and I sound in this conversation. Like, I'm really excited to be going to Congress. I can't wait to get started on my new job. And now she's like, we need to smack him in the head.
We know that we work for the American people. And what we not gonna do is stand around while they pull this that they trying to pull right now.
Like, what do you, we have videotape. Why are you talking like that? No one believes this bullshit. And now she's graduated to acting like a thug. So congratulations, your term in the U.S. Congress is going really well.
That was a great impression.
Do you share your boxcar with people of color?
I do.
Yeah.
My boxcar does not know race, does not know gender. It is a welcome space where only deodorant is not welcome. I like this Jasmine Crockett lady, right?
It's a great name, isn't it, for a villain?
Yeah.
Crockett is the whitest last name you could ever have. Yeah. I want to throw that out there.
Sonny Crockett, Miami Vice.
Yes.
It's like the whole thing is like, because I've seen her, she's very well spoken, and then she gets on certain programs and lets it. So maybe this whole thing is like a Netflix documentary, like a new spin on Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde.
This is precisely the point where an unstoppable force dramatically met an seemingly immovable object. Enter Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly, two powerhouse media personalities who arrived not just prepared to conduct an interview, but explicitly ready to surgically dismantle. This wasn't a polite by-the-rules debate complete with structured arguments and dignified podiums. It was an unvarnished verbal demolition derby where Jasmine Crockett, perhaps overly accustomed to her usual tactical theatrics, fatally brought a tricycle to a monster truck rally. Greg Gutfeld, the undisputed master of dry annihilation, brought an almost unnerving calm to the confrontation. He didn't need to raise his voice or engage in theatrical shouting. His formidable power led play and surgical observation, incisive wit, and the subtle weaponization of sarcasm. He treated her policy talking points not as legitimate arguments deserving of a counter, but as expired coupons, categorically invalid, utterly irrelevant, and completely unredeemable in any serious or substantive conversation. His strategic smirks, pregnant pauses, and the profound silence that deliberately followed Crockett's perceived mic drops were infinitely more devastating and impactful than any shouted rebuttal could ever be. He effortlessly obliterated her arguments without uttering a single direct word, allowing the raw, unadorned nonsense of her statements to hang palpably in the air, exposed for all the world to acutely perceive.
But she is going to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
You are going to be so glad she popped up
around
on the scene.
That's going to make up for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. She's going to we're going to get a segment a day from her.
Like, this is, if you're going to talk about black history, at least know it. This is, at least know it, okay? But it goes back to, that was 45 seconds of some of the, like, Kamala, you good right now. That was some of the dumbest I ever heard in my life. Here's the thing. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. They never have a solution. Just listen to your dumbass talk. You want to talk about agriculture? Why don't you fix the lottery? Why don't you make it easier for people who want to come into this country to work in agriculture and equitation?
Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly, possessing the unwavering, authoritative presence of a seasoned prosecutor, didn't merely counter Crockett's specific points. She meticulously dissected her entire political persona with the ruthless precision of an IRS auditor consumed by a long-held grudge. Armed with irrefutable facts, precise timelines, and undeniable receipts, Kelly calmly but relentlessly exposed the gaping, profound holes in Crockett's logic and the fundamental emptiness that characterized her legislative record. She methodically highlighted that Crockett's supposed contributions to American governance read less like a legislative triumph and more like a failed group project, where her primary, perhaps sole role was adding emojis to a PowerPoint presentation. Kelly's remarkable ability to utterly eviscerate a public figure without raising an octave, to calmly yet devastatingly reveal the shallow core beneath the loud performative exterior, was a masterclass in intellectual combat and media strategy. The combined assault was absolutely devastating, Gutfeld exposing the inherent absurdity of Crockett's approach, while Kelly simultaneously revealed the profound intellectual void at its core. It was a brutal public reckoning, a much-needed reset in the discourse that dared to ask if vibes truly equal vision, and the resounding, undeniable answer was a categorical no. The most damning and consistently reiterated critique of Congresswoman Crockett consistently circled back to her perceived and undeniable lack of substantive policy work. She was widely seen as a politician who primarily delivered performances, not tangible policy results. Her entire brand, as critics vehemently argued, was meticulously built on an illusion of resistance, articulated largely through theatrical finger snaps, exaggerated eye rolls, and Instagram-ready captions, rather than through concrete legislative work or thoughtful, impactful discourse. Megyn Kelly, reflecting on a deeply uncomfortable personal encounter during a Judiciary Committee hearing, vividly described Crockett's highly confrontational and frankly bizarre style. Kelly, serving as a witness who desperately needed to understand questions to provide coherent answers, found Crockett screaming and inexplicably code-switching, moving erratically and incoherently from one unrelated topic to another, rendering her testimony utterly incomprehensible and useless. This wasn't merely a communication breakdown, it was a profound symptom of a much deeper, more troubling issue, a stark and fundamental disconnect from the very serious, painstaking business of legitimate governance. The accusation was crystal clear. Crockett doesn't genuinely need a debate. She desperately needs a professional PR manager, and perhaps even more crucially, a legislative mentor who could impart the fundamental understanding that Congress is unequivocally not an improv comedy club with a dress code. Despite her own self-professed role as a fierce fighter for the people, her actual legislative achievements remained elusive, amounting to little more than a nothing burger generously dressed up with extra sass. This undeniable and fundamental gap between her self-projected image as a formidable political force and her verifiable limited actual impact highlighted a deeply disturbing trend where theatrical rhetoric and manufactured outrage often tragically overshadow the hard, painstaking, and utterly essential work of effective lawmaking. Ultimately, Jasmine Crockett has become a figure of profound paradoxical fascination, a veritable gift that keeps on giving for her political opponents and media critics. She distinctly represents a new, highly visible breed of politician who, as critics consistently argue, demonstrably prioritizes farming followers and cultivating online engagement over genuinely and effectively representing her constituents. Her political engagement is aptly described as akin to microwaving a frozen dinner. All superficial noise, absolutely no flavor, and consistently leaving everyone involved profoundly unsatisfied. She assembles platitudes with the speed and disposability of IKEA furniture, fast, cheap, and inherently prone to collapsing under the slightest pressure. When inevitably cornered or challenged, her default strategy reverts predictably to sheer volume. Yell louder, gesture wildly, and accuse the nearest oxygen molecule of being part of the problem. Yet somehow, she steadfastly seems to believe she is a modern-day Rosa Parks, despite her self-proclaimed activism being conspicuously filmed in portrait mode, a stark, almost absurd contrast to the gritty, authentic reality of historical civil rights movements. After suffering such a comprehensive, public, and utterly brutal takedown, one might reasonably expect a period of deep reevaluation, a quiet retreat to perhaps open a civics textbook, or dare we dream actually read a legislative bill or two, but instead she has consistently and defiantly doubled down on her approach, continuing her theatrical and confrontational style, seemingly convinced that merely surviving the verbal bloodbath means she has emerged stronger, much like a contestant who finishes last on Survivor, and stubbornly insists they played a brilliant social game. The stark truth, however, is far more unyielding and less flattering. She didn't play anything, she undeniably got played, and the lingering, profound question remains: can a political career meticulously built on fleeting performance and manufactured outrage, rather than tangible substance and genuine representation, truly serve the people in the long run? Or will it merely continue to provide endless, often amusing fodder for those who seek to relentlessly expose the very public charade?